many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the monologue followed by the Q&A session, folks. If you're a member of Patreon at patreon.com, if you go there, sign up at the Prepared Mind. Do that, and Monday through Friday you can join us in the daily Q&A, and you don't have to wait for the Sunday zoo, the Sunday live show. Anyways, it's been quite an interesting day, folks. It has hit the fan, and it's not just like a little turd. It's not like a little cat turd. It's like a whole truckload of horse manure. It's just hit the fan and it's blown everywhere. Now, what's incredible is the media is starting to ask questions. Now I realize it's Newsmax, and it's there's just a couple of reporters there, but they've got credentials and they're allowed in the White House to the press room. And here's what happens. This is how, we're told government is legitimate. We're told government has all the solutions. Government is the answer. We need to go to the government, the United States federal government up there in D.C. So the way the government that is apparently morally correct, superior in all its answers and what we need to do, right? They know everything. The way they answer a question, a legitimate question from a member of the real media, is to run. So Jen Psaki, I want to give her a really cool title, but let's just call her the White House press secretary. Right, Raggedy Ann. Let's see. Newsmax's Emerald Robinson asked her about the funding that went to Wuhan that apparently came from United States sources. Her answer is to run from the podium, to leave, not to say a word. In other words, folks, they don't have to answer anything they don't want to answer. And that's just not the only evidence. Just today. That was yesterday and today. Once again, Jen Psaki runs away because someone wanted to ask about the mandated Jim Jones juice and said, hey, what happened to my body, my choice? And what does she do? Raggedy Ann, again, grabs her folder full of bullshit and runs. Folks, that's not what a legitimate, authoritative, lawful government spokesman does. You see, we don't even get to circle back anymore. Well, that's a great question. We'll get back to you later. We'll circle back on that one. I'll circle back on you. I can't imagine, because I'm not like them. I'm not absolute total political scum. I can't imagine the thoughts that go through their head as they basically give everyone the middle finger as they do these, as they pass these rules, as they say the most stupid asinine shit, as we go down to the road, folks, to the Great Reset, into the New World Order. Oh yeah, folks. Oh yeah. Hey, look, if you're new here, what do we got going here? I tell you, it has been one heck of a day. Oh, that's what the problem is. As we get into more and more of this, they're going to become more confrontational, less responsive. I'm talking about the government. They're going to be more draconian, more demanding. They're going to lie more. And it also appears they're going to slip up more. If you're on YouTube, I want you to go to Patreon, right? And sign up there. And at the very least, be sure and subscribe. Now, this came out today. Australia, that's right, the land down under. They have a lot of stuff going on down there right now. A lot of stuff going on in Australia. They have their wellness camps, their health hotels. They have a complete, absolute, total lockdown. I am getting reports out of Australia, folks, that will curl your hair. And you may not want your hair curled. There's reports that people are being gassed, unconfirmed, unsubstantiated, but it's a report. I don't know what's going on down there, but I do know they're locked down. I do know they're being prohibited. I'll cover the story about their alcohol, folks. They're limiting the amount of alcohol they get. They're telling them not to look out their windows. This is crazy. Now, Australian health official has shocked Sydney, the country of Sydney. I'm sorry, the city of Sydney in the country of Australia. And something came out, something popped out of her mouth. Dr. Kerry Chant, the Chief Health Officer of New South Wales, made a remark while discussing cerveza bug and had this to say: we will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order. There's one. We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order. Here's another one. Right? Dr. or Mr. Hazard, right, says this is a world pandemic. It's a 1 in 100 year event, so you can expect that we will have transmission from time to time, and that's just the way it is. We've got to accept that. This is the New World Order. Now, this is not an accident. This is a statement coming from a country that has its people locked down. This is a statement coming from two government big mouth officials, letting the world know where they're at publicly. They've got people locked down. They're scared. There's mandates. They're forcing people. They are at the forefront, Australia is, of a new world order. Now, they could have said, hey, look, in this world, we've got some new things, some new problems going on. That would have been perfectly acceptable to say, the world hasn't faced anything like this in a long time, and we've got to maintain some kind of medical order. But both of them used the phrase New World Order. And you're going to love this, right? Isabel Rowe, whoever the fuck that, said, oh no, Dr. Chant just said New World Order. We'll be seeing that popping up in silly conspiracy videos. There's nothing silly about this. And there's nothing conspiratorial about this or conspiracy theory. This is happening, folks. This is not a movie. This is really happening in Australia. One person gets the sniffles and they lock an entire city down or an entire state. It is no longer Australia. It is now, once again, a prison colony, a prison planet. This is not a joke. I want to read this to you next. This came from a friend. It is a cdc.gov website. Okay, you need to go to the CDC and you need to look for the term shielding approach. This is a CDC document. Shielding approach humanitarian. This is the CDC, folks, the Centers for Disease Control. This is not misinformation. This has nothing to do with cerveza bug. The shielding approach aims to reduce the number of severe cases by limiting contact between individuals at higher risk of developing severe disease and the general population, high risk to low risk. High risk individuals would be temporarily relocated to safe or green zones established at the household, neighborhood, camp, or community level. depending on the context and the setting. Does that sound to you like a conspiracy? Or does that sound to you like they have their plans? Shielding. It sounds like Australia has fully implemented their shielding ideas. They're shielding everyone from everyone else. They're shielding the high risk from the low risk by locking everyone down. And they say, hey, we've got a new world order we're dealing with here as we come out of this. I'm going to take you back down south into Australia again. They have been at the forefront in the Anglo-American style of law, which is New Zealand, Australia, the United States, Canada, and England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. All right, we have a different form of law called common law. It's different from everyone else's. It's supposed to be the most free, supposed to recognize human rights. That's why the United States was at one point the freest country on the planet because of that. It's quite interesting, folks. They're going to be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order. Do you have any doubts what their plans are for us over here? They're further along in Canada. They're further along in England with locking people down. And when I say England, typically I'm referring also to Ireland and Scotland and Wales, Great Britain, the United Kingdom, what have you. We have some serious problems, folks, with what government thinks they can do. Right now, President Xi Biden is going to tell us, the country, what he thinks we should do. And he's going to put stipulations on doing business with the United States government. See, when they have business, like if you're doing and working under contracts or you're a government employee, you have a nexus, you've been joined with them. And so they believe they have a right to make a demand upon you. Well, I've got a good friend of mine, Paul, is basically all the workers in their facility, which has something to do with the federal government, are being told you will get the Jim Jones juice. It's mandated. And they're going to try this right away, folks. They're going to come down hard. They are not taking the slow approach. They think they have a right to make a demand. Folks, I am not a lab rat. I'm not an experimental animal. What happened to my body, my choice? Well, I'll tell you what. The speculation is they're going to try and deny people Social Security, other federal benefits, unless you do or fall in line with their demands. And they have no right to make the demand. As far as I'm concerned, folks, it is completely illegal to tie an entitlement that we pay for. This isn't a free entitlement. It's not welfare. Social Security, you have paid for. To tie that, right, to behavior of an experimental nature. And even if they, folks, took it off the experimental list, it's absolutely crazy, folks. Absolutely crazy. Now, we do have some people fighting back. It's always nice to see that somebody's fighting back, and that would be Rand Paul. Senator Paul, he is saying that he wants Dr. Fauci thrown in jail for 5 years for lying to Congress. He came out and said this on Fox News, right? There is more proof, according to Senator Paul, regarding the funding of the gain of function research in Wuhan. And he reminded viewers that this offense, lying to Congress, is a felony and is punishable by 5 years of jail time. I would like to just see it happen. I'm tired of the talk, tired of the threats, tired of, well, next time. Fucking do it. How is that law enforced? Is it enforced by a sheriff? Is it enforced by the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police? There is an organization that has no problem arresting people for the slightest of ideas or infractions and holding them as long as they think they have to. Folks, I don't want to get down, folks. I want you to understand we're all in this together. Oh, yeah, that was a statement that we were told 1 year ago. Remember that? No, a year and a half ago. When they locked us all down, within fucking minutes, I started getting these commercials on TV, on the internet. We're all in this together. We can beat this. Who the fuck told them to produce that shit? They had all of this planned out, folks, and they are slowly hammering everyone to the floor. Nail through the foot, nail through the foot. You aren't moving anywhere. We're all in this together. Together, we can get through this. Remember that feel-good bullshit? That aren't we all just great little patriots for sitting in our fucking houses? They're coming after us, folks. They are. Now, the CDC tightened mask guidelines. That's right. That's right. They tightened their mask guidelines. Good for them, because a teachers union, right? The teachers union threatened them. Emails obtained by Fox News show that a teachers union threatened the Biden White House officials after the CDC announced that people who have gotten the Jim Jones juice don't need to wear face masks. Who is running the fucking show? Teachers unions are going to make everyone obey them by threatening the White House? Who is running the show? Who is in charge? Who is the real authority? See how they're hiding this from us, making us believe it's teachers unions? Let me remind you again. We've got the federal government right now, including President Xi Biden, telling us that, hey, if you have anything to do with the government, you're going to lose your benefits or you're going to lose your pay, your contract, unless you, private companies, force your employees to accept the notion that they can make them get zombie pokey pokey. Now, here's the deal. I remember the United States Postal Service saying, you're not going to make us get the hokey pokey, the tequila shot. Nope, you can't do it. Remember that, folks? Remember when they came out that all federal workers, oh, no, everyone except the Postal Service. And everyone has to obey the teachers unions. And this group is special, but this group is not. Biden wears a mask on TV, but when he thinks he's not on TV, he doesn't wear a mask with union leaders. This is fucking amazing. Yeah, over Labor Day, he appeared with union representatives, President Xi Biden. No masks on any of them, hugging, high-fiving, posing for pictures. But then he tells us this other union, a teachers union, isn't going to let kids go to school unless they wear masks. I just want to say, stop the insanity. There has got to be a fucking end to this, folks, but there isn't. There's just not going to be an end to this. They will not quit. They will not stop. They will not go away. What I'm telling you is you need to have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and you need to have a lot of self-defense to go with your plan, because these people are idiots. Now, everyone on the political left, everyone over here, they believe everything that comes out of the mainstream media, even though fewer of them are supporting Joe Biden because of his absolute abject failure in Afghanistan. They'll still believe him 100% on Cerveza-Bug, while we on this side of thinking with our own brains say, you can't tell us what to do, you can't stop us, but they're doing it anyways, folks. And I've gotten several people are fucking pissed. You guys pissed, right? I keep hearing about civil war coming. It's coming, folks. We've had a lot of problems, and there's a lot of bad stuff coming. And let me tell you this. Guess who thinks they've won this battle? Won the war? Not the political left. Not the political right or political normal. Remember, there was an officer. His name was Nidal Hassan. Yeah, he's not a Taliban officer, not an Iranian officer, not a Syrian officer. He was an officer in the United States Army. I believe he was a major. Major Hassan Ashol. And he says this, folks. Well, he's in prison right now. Fort Leavenworth prison. And he says, we have won. He was the Fort Hood shooter. That's right, the United States Army, Fort Hood. He was the shooter, an officer, folks, college degree officer, was shooting up his own people, right? He is a terrorist. How did a terrorist get in to the military as an officer and attain the rank of major? This guy is a complete wacko. You think we don't have more people like this? They've just imported a shit pile of them from Afghanistan. But yeah, he's in prison. He's like, we have won. Well, you bet. He killed 13 people and wounded 32 others back in 2009. That's why his name and the idea of him may be a little vague to you, right? Now, of course, Barack Obama, I believe, referred to this as a workplace violence episode. But Hassan, right, he is the one who has congratulated and approved and applauded the Taliban takeover, not people who like freedom, not patriots. He gave a letter, Hassan did, to his attorney to give to the Taliban leaders. I don't know why they would even allow that to get out. You know, it's just, it's absolutely crazy. And I'm not going to read the rest of his letter. I'm not going to give it sunshine. If you want to read it yourself, you go right ahead. This guy is a complete piece of shit because he took an oath, folks. You take an oath, fine. Hey, if you take an oath to Allah and the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, fine, you go fight on their side. But instead, he essentially was a spy, came over into our military and as officer. And imagine this, imagine saluting that guy. Imagine saluting him on a daily basis as a major, someone who receives that honor, right? That respect, that courtesy, the salute. And he's a fucking murderer, a mass murderer who would have murdered a lot more if he had a chance. This goes to show you how unintelligent he really was. And hospitals, folks, here in the United States of America, they've started denying requests of people. Doctors and hospitals are committing crimes, folks, by denying basic medical services and or the requested legal medical procedures that people are having. We should never, you and I, we should never forget or forgive doctors and these people who violate their oaths. Right? They take an oath in medicine, and they're required by law to not turn anyone away for medical services. And when someone has the cognitive ability, that is the intelligence, to determine what treatment they want, when a hospital denies it, got a problem there. So there's a woman who is very ill, and she requested a life-saving treatment prescribed by doctors, and they denied it. And this is what she says: this is discrimination against people who have made the informed consent choice not to receive any experimental treatment. I have thoroughly researched this subject, and I am confident that this is the best course of action to save my life at this time, referring to the alternative treatment. Why would they deny me? I did not want a test, and they forced me to have one. I told them I did not want to be put on a ventilator, and it was put in my records that I was a DNR, do not resuscitate. It's like they are out to kill me. Now, apparently, no one is allowed to go in and visit this patient. Nobody can go in and see them. They're being held as a prisoner in a hospital. Folks, not all prisons have bars. Well, not the kind you're used to seeing. And not all death sentences are carried out inside the penal system. We're now seeing death sentences carried out in hospitals. We're hearing more and more about hospitals being a fucking death trap. And that if you go in there, they're going to do whatever they want to you. We have some serious, serious problems in this country. Just 3 years ago, I had to go to the hospital for kidney stone. And it was not a good scene when I was threatened by a male nurse who said I was threatening him. I was in severe fucking pain and saying, hey, look, please don't take my phone. I don't want to lose it. That's got my life on there, right? This is back when I was working for another company. And the guy said I was threatening him. No, I told him what I needed him to not do. I didn't hurt him. I didn't threaten him. I didn't threaten violence, nothing. But these people, they take that attitude that they're being threatened or that they're scared of somebody or they know better or you're such a high-risk patient that we have the right now to control your every move the rest of your life. Now, I've heard some people also, folks, they go into a hospital and the hospital says, we're going to do this and that to you. And they say, no, you will not do that or this or anything else. I'm out of here. And they won't let people leave. It's like you can't hold people against their will. And they will fight you tooth and nail so that you can't be discharged. But apparently they can't legally hold you. Makes me worry a lot, folks, for the people who believe that the hospital is right. And when they lie and say you're not allowed to leave, then they just go, okay, I guess I'll just stay here and die then. How many people have suffered that? How many people have died in these hospitals accepting what the hospital says they're going to do to you or do to them? It's not a good scene, folks. Danger. We are living in a world of peril and danger, and it's not from some invisible bug. Even though I now know somebody, I personally know somebody who's been hospitalized, and I fear the worst for many reasons. Australia, once again, folks. This is the news headline. Australia confiscates alcohol, limits residents in lockdown to 6 beers or drinks or 1 bottle of wine. Have it now, folks. Whatever you need in your preps, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, or alcohol, have it now. Because you won't be allowed to have it later because communists will stop you. Now, this whole confiscates alcohol thing down in Australia, are they going door to door and doing a house search for alcohol? They're in a serious state of lockdown, folks. They're having their alcohol deliveries policed as part of this policy. In other words, when you have, because they're locked down, they have to have stuff delivered. And so the government is going through people's mail, they're confiscating their alcohol. It's incredible, folks. They now have alcohol rationing, alcohol rules. You think that's a good sign? You think that means things are getting better? I really thought that when nations get vaccinated, that the problem goes away. That's what I thought. How come with all of the vaccinations happening, people aren't getting their rights restored? Don't you think that's a fair question? Now, if you want to talk about going door to door, let's go over to Afghanistan, folks. The Taliban are going door to door looking for female judges. Now, as you may or may not know, so let me quickly inform you, in Muslim countries or Islamic countries or theocratic Middle Eastern countries, they tend to think that women are less than second-class citizens. They're property, they're chattel. And so they don't get to have responsibility and rights. They're the property of their husband or whatever the fuck owns them. I don't even know what titles they give themselves. They give themselves lofty titles about as much as the federal government gives themselves lofty titles and declare themselves gods. Anyways, there is, folks, and the moral of the story here is not, hey, just look at what they're doing to females over there. Yeah, we know. Women are being executed. Women are being hunted down. Women are being punished. Do you think if they find a female judge, how do they find them? Oh, they're getting terrorists from prison that have been released from prison to identify the female judges that did what? That sat on a bench and looked at these men and said, you're going to prison. So they've been sentenced to prison by female judges, and now the criminals are getting out of prison and they're going after the female judges. Folks, and I just want to say this. You know it's wrong. But this is where the rubber meets the road. There is a huge risk in being free. And there is a huge risk in taking someone's freedoms. When lawlessness becomes the norm, those who acted to the opposite are in peril. Let me see if I can explain this in another way. If you live in a lawful government, in a lawful country like the United States was, say, 30 years ago, and you start breaking the law and violating people's rights, someone is going to own your ass. And it goes the other way. Here we are living normal, and all of a sudden, all of these scumbags are claiming power and authority over us. And they're telling us, hey, we're in charge now, and you're going to pay. There's a problem, folks. There's a big problem. When lawlessness becomes the norm, those who acted on behalf of the other side have to answer for their beliefs and their actions, regardless of which side you're on, folks. This is where we're at. This is the gulf that has opened up between these leftist radical scumbags and normal people. Is both sides are looking at each other and saying, shit's going to go bad and you're going to pay for it. You're going to suffer. In other words, SHTF Mad Max. Folks, here in our nation, many judges, prosecutors, and bureaucrats have ignored the Constitution and violated the rights and will of the people, collectively and individually, by straining credulity and common sense with their rulings. Judges here in America, have they not? They're going to answer for it here. Now, what they're saying right now, while they have assumed the mantle of authority and the power of enforcement through the police, they have violated our rights. All of these judges who refuse the Constitution, common law, and common sense and decency. Right? What are you talking about, John? Hey, these judges right now, ask them, how is gender determined? And if they can't answer that like a common sense person, you know what side of the law they're on. They're on some whacked out side, folks. Now, in Afghanistan, the Taliban are looking for payback for what these female judges have said and done. Here in America, we're dealing with payback. We're like, what did we do wrong? We're just free people. Got government raining down on us on all sides with their fucking stupid rules and their mandates. That's what they're telling us they want, folks. They're not saying, hey, we want you to be free. They're saying, we want you to obey. It's getting much closer. It's getting a lot closer. Now, I have gone a little long on my monologue, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys for the Q&A session.
Are you ready?
Okay, folks, here we are, the daily Q&A session on the Prepared Mind on patreon.com. Let's see what you guys want to talk about. And earlier today, folks, I did the harmful language trigger warning added to the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and our Bill of Rights. Yeah. Has anyone crossed the line? You bet, folks. I think we've been laying this out pretty clear. So let's move over to Matt in Sissy. Matt and Sissy, he says, love you, watch every day. Wife got upset because she couldn't find the video this morning for her morning routine. Oh no. She watches you in the morning while she cleans. That's cool. Be careful, Cece. Don't lose that password. Thank you very much for the support. Folks, I couldn't do what I do without you guys. I couldn't do it. 1 second, got to adjust. Oh, that feels really good. Yes, so you're welcome. Occasionally, things go a little haywire on the internet, but we're doing everything we can. We have a great technical crew out there. We have a lot of great support, you guys, and thank you for all that you do. Now we move over to Rick O'Connell, and he says this. He says, all the elites have mentioned the New World Order at some point or another. I saw a video that had Bush, Obama, Clinton's, and a bunch of people saying the New World Order. Yes, there have been montage videos out there with politician after politician all along the way bringing out the New World Order. I think I remember John McCain saying it. I think I remember Joe Biden saying it. It comes up. It was said to the military cadets, New World Order. The most famous of all were made by President George H.W. Bush back in the late 80s when he was president. And he did it, I believe, in a State of the Union speech, which, used to be watched by everybody. Find out what's going on in the country. Let's look to the president. He'll tell us, right? That's back when people had a little more respect for these office holders. And he kept telling us all about the New World Order, 1,000 points of light, right? Wouldn't be prudent. That guy. Yeah, it's a real deal. It is not a fabrication. It's not a wild, unsubstantiated conspiracy theory. It is a real thing. Now, Uman checks in. He says, they are slipping in the language to get people used to it. Starts out as a benign statement, then ramps up. Yes, sir, and I love you, man. You brought up another great point. They're slowly bringing it into the vernacular again as we go into this. Now, if you recall, the Great Reset, which we're in the middle of right now, right? Is that you don't hit it like a speed bump at 60, knock the fillings out of your teeth and throw the car off the road. It's not that type of an event. Pow, right? Great Reset is started. But they were saying, oh, this Great Reset, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, right? It's another wild conspiracy theory. And they're like, no, Klaus Schwab of the Davos group, right? This German aristocratic prick, or is he Austrian? Doesn't matter to me. Klaus was writing books talking about the Great Reset. The media is trying to deny it and hide it and lie about it. But no, it's real. It is real. Great Reset, you bet. They stopped talking about it, just disappeared again. Now all of a sudden, New World Order is coming back up. They're little cute phrases, folks. Not a good scene. And they're getting everyone used to the idea that, yeah, the government can say what they want and do what they want, and you have to obey. Back in 2020, they couldn't stop a couple hundred radical punk, turd, Antifa, and BLM from causing massive mayhem at night. They couldn't stop them. They could just run away and go start burning shit in another direction. They were running around and causing multiple areas to catch on fire. It was incredible how powerless the police actually were in a lot of ways. Now, I know that they were prohibited from a lot of activity as far as enforcing the law and stopping crime. Additionally, people that were arrested were released by prosecutors and judges. And so they were allowed to continuously harass and harangue and cause all of this billions of dollars in damage, all in an effort to make Trump look bad and discredit him as president for the election. They really think they have the power to stop me and you from being free? They can only do it if they catch us one at a time and write us a ticket or arrest us. We are going to have kind of a come to Jesus moment very soon in this country. I don't know who's going to start it, but when it happens, you're going to know about it. I used to discuss a little more about getting to know your law enforcement, introducing yourself to them, saying hi to them, saying, hey, you know, do you think it's okay to violate my rights? Does the Constitution really say what it says? When I read the Constitution and I read the First Amendment and it says I can speak, and I can read the Second Amendment, it says I get to have guns. And when I read the Declaration of Independence, it says when there's a tyrant, you need to get rid of them. When I read that, is it real? You know, you'd be surprised how many law enforcement people really know what those documents say and they mean. Right? It's interesting, folks. There's going to be hell to pay. Now, when your mom said that to you, say you, I don't know, you borrowed the car and drove around on the farm without permission, and you were told, hey, when your dad gets home, there's going to be hell to pay for that move. Well, this is quite a bit different. When I say there's going to be hell to pay, there's going to be hell to pay. Moving on to Steve, USMC No Tolerance. He says, by the end of the month, I see us getting ready to go back to the sandbox. The cavemen will keep our people for money. I say it's already started. Oh, Biden sucks. What he's referring to is going back into Afghanistan. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham, who I am no loving fan of, in many ways, I'm no loving fan of that guy. He told the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is over in Britain, he told them, hey, look, we are going to have to go back. What is the point of leaving if we already know we're going to have to go back? This is a complete lack of competence, intelligence, foresight on the part of the Biden administration, the Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Pentagon. Because it's obvious. These people are a bunch of radical, wacko fuckheads over there. And they're not going to stop doing what they're doing, and it's going to get a lot worse. The problem we have here in the United States, and also in Australia, in Canada, and other countries around the world, is that our governments look and sound incredibly like the Taliban. They're telling people what they can and can't say. They're telling people how they have to stay in their homes unless they have special permission. They're telling people you have to wear garments on your head and your face or you'll be arrested and punished. They're being told that the government is always right and you have no redress. They're being told in Taliban country, you can't protest. That's just like Australia. That's just like Canada. That's just like the United States. That's just like England. That's just like Germany, France, Italy, Spain, the Netherlands. They have the same rules. They just bring them out for a little bit different reason and then say, no, you can't protest. You can't come outside. You have to put something on your face. You have to obey us. You don't have any rights. There's an emergency. Crazy shit. Thank you very much, Steve. Yeah, the caveman. They aren't even cavemen, folks. I would rather hang out with real live Neanderthals. Just hang out in the fucking cave, eat some meat and shit, sit around a fire. I'd rather do that than hang out with the fucking Taliban. Bonnie Blue steps in and has a question. Says, shouldn't Fauci, the North Carolina professor, and his students be arrested for trying to sneak vials of cerveza bug to Wuhan and be charged and prosecuted under the Anti-Bioterrorism Act? Folks, if anybody on the planet has violated the Anti-Bioterrorism Act, the international rules on, these are American, they're international. Everyone understands taking viruses and making them more infectious, more dangerous, it's called gain of function, more virulent, more deadly Anyone that does that should be arrested in a public trial. Period. So everyone can see that they are getting, folks, and I'm all about due process. Let them mount a defense. How do you defend yourself? Here's a picture of you carrying a vial of shit that could kill everyone and transporting it. Here's a picture of you, or a picture of a document you signed financing this kind of activity. Anything that's illegal should be prosecuted right away. We're playing these fucking games, calling Fauci up to Washington, D.C., where he has no problem going and attending, and then lying his little ass off and not getting in any trouble for it. Yeah. This is the problem I have with the system, is we don't need new laws. We don't need more comprehensive laws. We don't need special laws. We already have all the laws necessary. We already have them. In fact, I mean, you could take somebody before all of these bioterrorism laws came about, and they start making, you know, let's go back to 1905, and someone is making a bioweapon, and it gets out and it kills people. The person that made that, we don't need bioterrorism laws to prosecute them, right? They took actions. People were injured, killed. That's a crime. You don't need special laws. When someone is injured or killed, that is a crime. Someone's responsible for it. But as things stand right now, we have all the special rules in place already, pronouncing this a crime, laying out all the rules for how it's to be tried and what punishments are available. It just needs to be enforced. Who is the enforcement mechanism on this? Oh yeah, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. Garland Merrick, whatever the fuck his name is. You think Garland Merrick, the little turd, is going to go after the other little turd? No, he's too busy threatening Texas and other states, saying, if you try passing a heartbeat law, we're going to come down on you. All right. I used to like Turtle says this. John, what's your opinion on the on Trump or MTG? That's Marge Taylor Greene, Big Marge. What's your opinion on Trump or Marge Taylor Greene giving the fist salute? When you say the fist salute, what, taking the hand and raising it? I'm not a big fan of the fist salute because it has been used. It's been used by communists, anti-fascists, as a symbol of violence, the closed fist. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like to see anyone use that. And folks, guess what? I probably use it. I probably raise my fist like, yeah, right? You do this rock and roll. Yeah. Is that a salute? Or is that waving? You know, it comes down to the intent, right? Like people that like wave, they're like, hey, how are you? Is that, you know, hey, how are you? And they put their hand out kind of straight and wave. If you don't raise your hand, well, Hitler would kind of like raise his hand and, you know, Heil, you know. And people that do that, they put their hand out there in the Hitler salute. You know, if you just wave, is, you know, what is the intent of the waiver? Now, should it be a crime? No. Do I like it? No. So the closed fist, I don't like. The Hitler salute, I don't like. You know, but a normal person doing it, if I see someone raise their hand and it's a fist, or they stick their hand out kind of flat and straight, I don't think they're either communist or Nazis. I just think they're waving. When I see someone who has expressed a will and desire to destroy America, and they raise a closed fist, they're a racist organization. Then I have a problem with it because I know what their intent is. I know what they're saying with that salute. You know, but it's really splitting hairs. So let us move on, if we shall. We got Cottage Farm checking in. I always enjoy that name, Cottage Farm. It's a question. What do you think if we unjuiced no tequila, normal people made a demand to the powers that be to live like the meatbags, except much better than the meatbags in the movie The Surrogates. What do I think if we unjuiced no tequila made a demand? I don't know how to properly answer this question. I can't answer the question. I don't know what to think of the question. Perhaps if you reworded it, I could address it in a different way. What I don't like, and I guess I'll speak to it this way, is we are facing annihilation right now. I don't think there's going to be any way to live with these people, the zombies that are out there. The memes that are coming out today, which are funny, but also contain a lot of elements of truth, is people who have had 3 pokes, are attacking people with 2 pokes, or they should, right? Because, well, hey, they've gotten 3 now, and if you've only gotten 2, then you're now a threat and a risk and a danger to everyone. There's going to be people with 1 poke, 2 pokes, 3 pokes, 4 pokes, no pokes. Everyone is pissed off at each other. And the only people demanding that other people do something are people who have decided to stick their head into the experiment machine and have the experiment run on them. It's alarming to me that other people out here think they have a right to condemn me to the same choice they have made. There's no living with these people on the political left, whether it has to do with zombie juice, or whether it has to do with critical race theory, or whether it has to do with what you have in your pants and what you call yourself, or whether it has to do with education or their belief in our country, our culture, our laws, the Constitution. There's no living with these people. You can't give them a drug to fix them. You can't educate them. It has now come down to some sort of bizarre belief system that they have created for themselves on the left. You and I, we're just looking right down the middle. Let's see, we grew up, there's a constitution, there's law and order, you behave, our country is here, things happened, it's better now than it was. These people over here have decided that our entire world that we lived under is absolutely wrong, and they need to destroy it utterly. There's no living with them. There's no fixing that problem. There's going to be massive amounts of social, political, partisan conflict. I'm sorry to say that. I don't see a way out of this anymore, because the left will not quit. President Fuckstick will not just say, okay, problem is solved, everyone back to normal. The political left will not say, okay, CRT wasn't a great idea. They won't say, okay, BLM and Antifa are terror groups. I remember when I thought, why the hell doesn't Trump? And he did, folks. He came out and said, that's a terror group. Where's the FBI? Where's the Department of Justice? Where's the NSA? Where's Department of Homeland Security on these terror groups that are named? Because they're committing acts of terror. They're promoting acts of violence. They have written manifestos, but they're being allowed to coexist. And you can't have law and order and anarcho-communists living together. We can't coexist. I wish there was a better way to talk about this topic. There isn't, though. They've absolutely ruined our country, and we're living in a facade. From far away, it's a Potemkin city, a Potemkin country called the United States of America. And everyone looks at it from far away and says, oh yeah, there's New York, there's Los Angeles, there's Chicago, there's Dallas. That's America over there. And they have this idea and vision of what it is. But if you get closer to that America, right, if you see this Potemkin city, state, country, from a distance, it looks like America. But when you get up close and start examining our world, it has nothing to do with the United States of America that you and I are familiar with. For all the reasons we've described, whether we're talking about the military, the medical world, the legal world, the political world, the educational world, the social structure, our infrastructure, our farming, agricultural, food production. Folks, the fucking government came out and said, well, if you take out all of the meat products, following me here on the meat products, if you take the meat products out of the food equation, there's really not a lot of inflation. In other words, they're admitting that there is massive inflation in the world of protein, meat, pork, chicken, beef, the American meat staples. They admit it by saying that if you just take that out, everything looks normal. Well, I'm sorry, but I eat meat products. I put them back in there and the fucking pricing's fucked. Everything is fucked up. They're the cause for it, folks. They're the cause of it, not me and you. We pay our taxes, we obey the laws, we go to work, we do our job. We're nice to people, we live our lives, we mow our lawns. The government is the one that has fucked this up. And these non-governmental organizations, NGOs, special interest groups, political action committees, all of these fucking groups over here on the left are trying to destroy and dismantle our country. So much so, to such an extent now that they're even claiming the supreme law of the land, that is the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, are harmful and contain harmful language and information. We got Orlando here, and this is what he says. Have you heard that the U.S. military is readying forces against expected synchronized attacks against major U.S. cities, and that is why they brought our soldiers home? I have both heard that and hypothesized it myself. The reason I disagree with that is because I cannot believe that the Biden administration, follow me on this very closely, Biden, Secretary of Defense Lloyd, Joint Chiefs of Staff, they hate America and the Constitution and our laws and our military. They are feminizing it and dismantling it. They have no love for America, the Democrats and their ilk, who let it burn in 2020, who applauded lawlessness on the streets. It's hard to believe that that same government with that same attitude is bringing our military home in order to address a synchronized, multifaceted attack by enemies known and unknown. They don't care about this country. They want it destroyed, in other words. They want it dismantled. They want it to fall to pieces. They want martial law. They want lawlessness on the streets. They want to be able to, ready for this? They want to make order out of chaos. That's the New World Order's motto. That's right, New World Order, order out of chaos. I've come full circle, folks. I circled back. That's what they want, is order out of chaos. And in order to make order out of chaos, you've got to have chaos. But in our country, we had law and order. So they have to dismantle everything, tear it apart, tear it down, allow it to be destroyed, and make chaos out of order. So they can come back, circle back, and make order out of chaos. The New World Order motto. They're not here, folks. They didn't bring the military home. Not based on their stated goals, their preferences, their policies, and their fucking belief systems. They have no love for us, the people, no love for our history, our culture, or anything. They're tearing down statues, still removing statues, still tearing down our history and traditions, still. You're just not seeing it on the news because they're not talking about it. They're hiding it. City councils, counties, states. They're removing your history, folks. And when a government removes your history, it's not because there's no history at all to have. It's not like there's a fucking void, a vacancy of history. They're removing the history you know so they can replace it with the history they want you to know. Blue Cord Devil checks in and says in his statement, 2,500 soldiers at Fort Carson said no to the hokey pokey. Also heard more at Fort Gordon, also said no. A little bit of muscle soreness. People need to say no and stand up for what they know to be right, correct, moral, and decent. It's called having the courage of your convictions. People need to have the courage of their convictions, and if they do not, I don't know what to call them. Does that make them cowards or just weak? You see, by keeping everyone locked in their homes in Australia, keeping people from talking, they don't want people to talk. They're trying to keep people from communicating, and that's something that's really important here for us at the Prepared Mind Network, is communicating. That's what we're doing. We're sharing ideas, sharing opinions and thoughts. You guys have the comments section to talk in. You can listen to the things I discuss. You can pick up the phone and call people, right? And you can hear from other people, just like we've now heard about these military bases where people are refusing it, saying, no, you cannot force me. Now, they can fire them or discharge them. Maybe they can even throw them in the brig or the stockades, right? Prison. Having the courage of your convictions, folks. That's where we're heading with this. It's not that world anymore, folks. It's not what they say it is. It's not about justice and equality. It's about equity. Equity means fairness. Who determines what is fair? You can sit two children down in front of you, and both of them are going to have a different idea about what fair is. Same goes for adults, apparently, because I don't think it's fair to take my money and give it to someone else. But other adults will think it's perfectly fine to steal all my fucking money. And they have. There's judges out there that think it's just fine to steal other people's money and give it to other people. They call it equity. It's not equality. All right, we got Orlando. He says, I work for the school system. As of today, they are requiring either I get the juice or weekly testing or be terminated. I don't want to do either. I'd literally be throwing away my entire life and future if I let them terminate me. Any suggestions? This is terrible, Orlando. Now, I believe that Delta, or one of the major airlines, but I think it's Delta, they allowed people, get this, they allowed people, fuck you, airlines. People said, I have a religious or medical exemption that is legal. It's lawful. You cannot deny my exemption. In other words, you can't fire me if I don't take the Jim Jones juice. Well, guess what the airline did? You're not fired, but we're not going to pay you. We're going to suspend your hours. You're still on the books. You're still an employee, but you are taking an unpaid leave of absence, essentially starving you out. So this idea, folks, where we went, well, fine, fuck you. You want to mandate it? I have a medical exemption. I suffer from anaphylaxis, right? I have reactions to them. Or I have a religious objection, which is also sustainable in a court of law. It's been proven that you can have a religious objection. But they just say now, well, fuck you then. Guess what? You are just going to not get any hours. You're not fired. You aren't guaranteed hours, folks, when you're hired by a company. And so they're going to starve people. So fuck you, airlines. Fuck you, schools. Right? You think you're okay because you get this exemption, then they just decide to change their mind. In other words, while they need you, they'll keep you on with your exemption until they can replace you, or they don't need you, then they get rid of you. They're going to do this with doctors and nurses, folks, because there's a lot of doctors and nurses that are refusing to obey this mandate by saying, no, we're not going to do it. Or I've got an exemption, go fuck yourself. I've got another friend who works for a company and they're like, nope, we're not doing it. We're not getting it. And there's enough people that it will shut down that business. And I'm like, well, that works for now, but guess what? I have a funny feeling, and it's not really that funny, that as soon as they can, they will get rid of you. They'll terminate you. They'll start hiring other people to replace people that are willing to screw themselves over or take a chance, risk their health for a paycheck. I tell you what, folks, I've got some other information that came out. And that is that the number of people that are suffering and being hospitalized and dying are not supposed to be, that they're supposed to be immune. And that number is getting higher and it's getting worse. In other words, the consequence is negative of people having gone out and got the Jim Jones juice. They're starting to show up in hospitals very, very sick. Of course, the symptoms are for exactly those things that they're supposed to be protected against. I don't know, folks. I mean, everyone gets to make their own decisions, but tell you what, I think I'll wait 4 or 5 years, see how everything turns out, because I don't feel like being sick. Suggestions? Orlando, I don't have a good suggestion. It's the courage of your convictions. If you believe it's that dangerous, then they have given you no choice but to throw away your career. You have no choice because they have taken that choice from you. You see, before you had a choice. You can do it or you cannot. Now they're saying you have no choice. They have taken away your option, your choice. Right? It's out of my hands. It's out of your hands. The suggestion, right? Live life the way you think you should. There's no guarantee. Our careers, our wealth, your retirement. You've got a big retirement package sitting on Wall Street, being picked at by carrion, charging you $200, $300, $500 a month to manage your money that's sitting there that they don't have to manage. It just sits there and they pick money off of it. There's no guarantee you're going to get that. There's no guarantee we're going to get Social Security. There's no guarantee we're going to get anything. The only thing we're guaranteed, folks, is taxes and death. And sometimes you get more of it and sooner than you would hope for. That's all that's guaranteed. That's it. Taxes and death. Those are the only sure things, right? Someone else taking your money and saying it's for your own good. That's called taxation. And don't worry, you'll get it back from the government. They're just going to tell you how to spend it. That's taxation. Anyways, folks, we're in big trouble. I want you to have food and a lot of it. Water. Make sure you got clean water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a lot of it. And a plan. Know the people in your neighborhood, your community. Understand the bad guys aren't just going to go away. They're not going to quit. They're not going to give it up. They're not going to admit defeat. They're not going to admit failure. They're not going to admit they're wrong. You can't live with them. You can't live around them. And look what they've done to our country. Look what they've done to our country, folks. And they're not done yet. They want the Great Reset to be completed. They want their New World Order. That includes population reduction. They're the ones who have said it, folks, not me. Chance favors the prepared mind. Are you going to believe them, the media, who lies? Are you going to believe the politicians who lie? Are you going to believe all those authority figures in our world that continuously lie to us? Or are you going to believe what you hear with your own ears, see with your own eyes, what you contemplate with your own mind? Right? Don't believe me. Check everything I say. There's a montage out there of New World Order. Maybe I'll find it and post it to YouTube if I can, if they'll let me. And once again, First Amendment, free speech. Nope, can't have that. You just might tell the truth. What you say might go to someone else's ears and wake someone up. Scary world, folks. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi. Godspeed.